We're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Real Estate, hosted by yours truly. I'm Ray. I'm a real estate agent, a bearded man of real estate to be exact. And we're broadcasting everywhere. We're on YouTube, of course. And if you're on YouTube, you can comment. I could display your comment, or I could talk about you, just like Olivier. He said, "Are you ready?" And he said, "Is Matt ready?" Yeah, Matt's been late. He's not ready. He's not here for it. You can also comment on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch. We're even live on Twitch. All of those formats would allow me to display your comment and talk about you. Or we're even broadcasting live on Clubhouse. So the audio is not as great on Clubhouse, even though I'm going through this entire system and it's supposed to sound really wonderful. It doesn't. So what a lot of people do that want to participate in Clubhouse actually is that they will click the link at the top and they'll watch and listen on YouTube. And then when they want to add their voice to the podcast, they turn down the YouTube, go to Clubhouse, and then they raise their hand. And then you can add your voice to the show. So that's why we do this live, is for all those live interactions, or I could just record this thing. It would be a lot faster. But you know what? It probably wouldn't be faster because I would keep self-editing. I'll just edit all the time. Yeah, Olivia said YouTube, video, Clubhouse audio. Wait, so you listened to the Clubhouse audio? I didn't think the Clubhouse audio was very good. So.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay.
Clubhouse audio, but your video is like, I don't know, 10 seconds behind or something. Faster.
Okay. Well, there you have it. There's a pro tip for you. We have a lot to talk about today. And I want to thank you guys for joining us. I mean, it's been a long week. I feel like, I think we did the show last week on Thursday, but I feel like it's been super fast. One more mention. We're also broadcasting on Instagram, so you can find me at Razorback. That's RAYZORBACK. And as you comment, I can't display your comment from Instagram because they don't have that figured out yet in StreamYard, but I can at least give you a shout out. So, which I'll definitely try to do. All right, we have a lot to talk about, but before we get into the show, I want to share, let's see, let me go to this other page, share this tab instead. I want to share with you guys an event. I'll be in Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, June 12th. So there's an event called Booked and Branded, put on by Marie Lee, which if you don't know Marie Lee, she's an amazing human and a really wonderful agent. She's super, super, super smart on branding. And I'll be doing a thing on AI. So I'll be going to talk about AI. I'll tell you how I use it. We're going to focus on ChatGPT. I'll give you some tools to use for your own business. So if you're interested in that, I will post, actually, for the live viewers, there will be a link in our description if you're watching the replay. But for those of you that are not watching the replay, I'm just going to drop it into the chat so you guys can go live. There it is. So feel free to click that link and register. There may be some early bird tickets still available. I think the code is early 2025. If that doesn't work, then those are sold out. So, but I'd love to see y'all June 12th, Nashville, Tennessee, and it's $99. The people that are going to be speaking, Dusty Oglesby, who's an awesome coach, real estate guy, Brad McCallum, who is kind of the father of long form real estate video on YouTube, Marie Lee, Ray Ellen, Janet Brink, who's an amazing human too. She actually is really good at putting on events and has been a huge help in this. Drew Thompson, who is the Real Academy guy at Real Broker. I don't know what he's going to be talking. He also may be talking about some AI stuff. And then Haley Ingram of Coffee and Contracts, she'll be there as well. Coffee and Contracts playing a big role in this one. So it'll be cool. I'm excited about it. Nashville is like a drive for me. So that's one that I don't have to fly to. I could just drive over there. And that's always nice. All right. So let's get into the news. We have some... Zillow, the title, this is where the title comes from, is from this article. Zillow clarifies cooperation. Thought that was clever, because the clear cooperation rule and all that jazz. Okay. So Zillow came out and said, I need the context guy. I'm going to have to get the context guy to make a little context clip about what all's going on with Zillow. I think if there's another article next week, we're definitely going to do that. Zillow came out and said, hey, if you market a property off market in a way that goes against clear cooperation, to be short, then we're not going to put it on our website and it'll never be allowed on our website. So Zillow came out with this rule. There was a big hubbub about it. Compass was like, Compass was like, come to our office and look at the listings in a book. And there were some of those other agencies that just didn't care because they were like, well, that's the point. Our clients don't want to be on Zillow, so it doesn't really matter to us what Zillow's going to do about this. But Zillow is kind of trying to be the police force of clear cooperation. So I don't know how they're going to find all this out. I don't know, what technology they're going to have out there to crack down on people that are sharing listings off market, but that's their goals to crack down on this. It is also a selfish endeavor for them so that they can stay alive. Because if real estate agents stop putting their properties on Zillow, Zillow doesn't have a business model. So, I mean, it's obvious. So Zillow says, all right, we're going to clarify this. There's an article on Inman and one on Broke Agent Media. They're also going to tell you the dates. So all that I just said was in April. That's what was happening in April, is that Zillow is saying you got to follow the rules or we're not going to put the listing on the website. They call them their listing access standards. Where are the rules? You know what? I'm just going to go to the Zillow. Let's go to the Zillow press release about it because that has it pretty clearly laid out with no opinion. All right, Zillow's listing access standards, what agents need to know. It goes over the history of it, which we just kind of covered. This is the this is the stuff that they say, I guess, the promotional materials. These standards allow agents to best serve their clients where everyone has fair access to listings. A transparent market supports you in providing the best possible service. For sellers, by ensuring listings are widely marketed, sellers benefit from maximum exposure, which research shows typically leads to higher prices and a quicker sale. This has a greater impact on communities of color. Home sellers in communities of color lose $6,000 more on average when selling off the MLS. This is an interesting stat. I don't know how this is tracked, but that's an interesting study. It came out in March 24th, 2025, which is a convenient timing. But I don't really know how you track that. It's just like the old adage that homes sold for sale by owner lose 18% or sell for 18% less than homes sold by agent. But it could be that the price is less, right? So one of the fun stats that I can tout is that I sell listings 24% higher than the average agent. And that sounds like a cool stat. Like, hey, if you hire me, I'm gonna sell your home for 24% more. But that's pretty disingenuous. That could also just mean that I have a higher price point than the average agent. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you list with me, I'm going to sell it for 24% more than another agent could. But I feel like that's kind of where these stats like that are coming from. Anyway, for buyers, they gain confidence knowing that they have access to all available listings, reducing frustration and increasing trust in the marketplace. Adam Johnson says the average agent sold 0 homes last year. Yes, that's true. Okay, yes. Maybe the average producing agent. Maybe that's where we come in, Adam. All right, so here's what to expect. Zillow listing access standards publication. Full access to the standards are in the terms of use. Initial rollout. They say they're going to be rolling out their standards in phases throughout the U.S. Listing violation notifications start May 28th. So you guys have 7 days before you start receiving the listing violation notification. Agents will receive notifications if a listing doesn't meet their listing access standards. Each non-compliant listing will be logged as a single violation, and the listing agent will be notified directly on each violation. Blocking of violating listings. We will not start blocking the listings until June 30th. So you have roughly a month from May 28th, when you start receiving the notices, to June 30th to clean up your act and get all of those homes listed on the market and to stop marketing them off the market. That's when any agent's third non-compliant listing. So it's a ding against the agent, not the listing. That's interesting. Beginning then, an agent's third non-compliant listing and any subsequent non-compliant listings will be blocked. Okay, so if a agent has a non-compliant listing, they get a warning. If they have another non-compliant listing, they get a warning. If they have a third non-compliant listing, then their listing is blocked, and so are the other non-compliant listings, right? They'll be blocked from Zillow and Trulia for life of the listing. I guess it's subsequent. So it's the ones that are coming after. It's not the ones before. But if you're still non-compliant on those, then they would be blocked. So they'll be blocked from Zillow, Trulia for the life of the listing agreement between that listing broker and seller. So it's not the listing agent, it is the listing broker. So we've talked about some loopholes in this. And one of the loopholes, which was an interesting theory, was to have an off-market listing agent, and that listing agent would just list all the off-market properties until they're ready to be put on there. But it looks like they're going to hold the broker responsible/liable. So it's not just on the listing agent level. So you would have to have an offshoot. I wonder if, you know how a lot of brokerages have property management companies and it has to be a different brokerage, or they've chosen to make that a different brokerage. And then they have another brokerage that they run all the sales through. I wonder if there's ever a context in which they would put their property management listings, or those are the off-market properties now. Brian Hershey, what's up, buddy? Brian _Hershey, if you want to follow him, HIRSCHY. He says, oh crap, we're live again. Let's go. What's up, buddy? He said, I got blocked from Nextdoor for telling people their cats weren't truly lost and had just chosen a different life. Is this the same as Zillow bans? Kind of. Basically, we're saying these listings have chosen a different path and they're blocking the listings at the agent level. So it is a ding against the agent. What's up, Mia Zol.realtor says she's from Fort Lauderdale. Hey, thanks for checking in, Mia. What's allowed under the listing access standard? Let me make sure I've listings that meet the standards will remain visible. Listings that align with the listing access standards will be on Zillow and Trulia, regardless of the agent's past violations. So while an agent can get 3 strikes and then everything else he does gets penalized, listings, I wonder if they what if it was like 5 years ago? What if it was a violation? Like, do they wipe the slate clean after a year or something? Because, can you get 3 a year, or is it no? You only get 3 for the life of your career. Because somebody that's been in this business for 20 years, I mean, we've all been there, where you put the sign in the yard and the seller signs the documentation and everything. You get the sign in the yard, you put the key and lockbox on the door, the listing's ready to go live. And then they're like, hey, we can't go live tomorrow. I'm like, what? Like, our mom hurt herself and she's going to be in the house for another week. Well, you have a sign and lockbox out there, and maybe you're on vacation. You can't get out there, can't find somebody else to get out there. So now you're in violation of Zillow's rule. And if another agent takes a picture of your property and sends it to Zillow's complaint line, that's going to happen. They're going to have an email that says violations@zillow.com or something. If you see something, say something, send it to us, right? That's going to happen. So if that happens, suddenly you start to get struck, right? And over your career, stuff like that happens. Well, there seems to be no grace for that kind of thing in this situation. So if you have past violations, then the next one you have, if it's a genuine mistake, a 4th violation, done. Property's gone. What's allowed under the listing access standards? Office exclusive listings are permitted as long as the homeowner signs a disclosure, and the office, what disclosure? As long as the homeowner signs a disclosure. What disclosure? A disclosure that they provide? Hell no. I'm not putting a Zillow disclosure in front of my client. Zillow has no party to my transaction. And the office exclusive is limited within a single brokerage company and shared only amongst agents within that brokerage or one-on-one communication with clients, but not marketed publicly. Coming soon listings entered into the MLS within 1 business day and made available to all MLS participants and available via IDX or VOW comply with our standards. Posting a sneak peek of a listing on social media or in an email newsletter to buyers, as long as it doesn't include details that could approximate a listing, like price and address, and doesn't include a call to action, like an invitation or to tour the home or a call out to receive the link to the listing via direct message. So if you say, hey guys, I have this incredible listing coming up at 123 Banana Street, send me a DM and I'll send you all the details, that would be wrong because you're saying the address. But if you say, hey guys, I have this incredible property in a very desirable neighborhood that's going to be priced around $500K, DM me for info, that's wrong because you said the price. But if you said, hey guys, I have an incredible home in a very desirable neighborhood that's coming on the market, and let's see, details that could approximate. So
between this address and this address.
Yeah, it's no, I'm saying that like bedrooms and bathrooms, right? So, hey guys, I have this incredible property coming up in a very desirable area with 3 beds, 2 baths. If you want information, let me know. Just send me a DM. That would also be wrong, but because you're asking for the DM. So you can't have a call to action on a DM, even if it doesn't include the property details. Who's enforcing this? Are they going to have like little Zillow guys going around on all the agents' social media and being like, oh, let's keep an eye on this one. If that one doesn't go live in 24 hours. What's not allowed under the listing access standards? Listings that are publicly marketed but not entered into the MLS via IDX or VOW within the 1 business day of being marketed. Ooh, there's a 1 business day of being marketed. So you can start to advertise it on Saturday, Sunday, and then as long as it goes in at the end of Monday, you're good. Adam Johnson said, what's stopping agents from modifying the contract date between when they put it in the MLS? That's what we do. I mean, so here's how this works, because we want a client to hire us to help them market and sell the property. So they sign a listing agreement, but we put in the contract that they're not to go live until we have photos. Sometimes we'll put an estimated date. Sometimes it is a date thing. So, I mean, that's basically what we do. And there's nothing to stop agents from doing that. So we have a go live date, an MLS input date versus what it needs to, I told this to one of our instructors locally yesterday. It needs to just say hire date, right? You hire us on this date. The date we're going to go live is anticipated to be this date. That way we can gather all the materials. We can help them with contractors. We could give them advice on the situation and counsel them. But we have a hire date that is different from a input to the MLS and go live date. Switch it to coming soon. I think Zillow will care about listings that are listed and on the MLS, but not distributed to IDX sites. Listings that are listed on the MLS, but not distributed to the IDX. So where they turn off the third-party distribution, but that's allowed, I think. Listings that are publicly marketed, but not entered into the MLS and available via IDX or VOW.
Like allowed by who? It's so confusing because
yeah.
So if CCP went away and brokerages were able to share their private pocket exclusives on public facing websites, would they still be doing this? And not only who enforces it, but how do you find them? How do you find these these listings, let alone, so you need investigators and enforcers.
Yeah.
It's so screwed up.
I guess they're probably relying on agents to tell on agents, which that's what the board has been relying on for years. And we all know that doesn't work.
There's so many competing forces here, and so much of it is so anti-consumer and anti-agent. It's just mind-blowing.
Well, it's pro Zillow's bottom line. That's all this is.
Most all of this change or kerfuffle or whatever you want to call it is for somebody's bottom line other than the agent and the consumer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the maddening part.
I've got a couple more. What is not allowed? Publicly marketing the off MLS listings are available if a buyer is willing to work with an agent or brokerage. I don't know how. I mean, we do this all the time. As a matter of fact, I have a binder. I think I showed you this when Compass came out with theirs. Theirs is maybe nicer, but we have a binder called Off-Market Properties. So if you want to work with me to find these off-market properties, here they are. Now, am I in violation of Zillow? Am I violating Zillow? They don't know what those off-market properties are. How am I in violation? But I now am publicly marketing the off-market listings are available. And off-market listings are available. We sold one earlier, I think it was this month, maybe last month. We sold an off-market listing. They can't, there's no way to enforce this one. Publicly marketing the off MLS listings are available if the buyer is willing to work with an agent or brokerage. I mean, that's just what it is. We have a whole slew of off-market inventory. This also doesn't follow the office exclusive rules. So good luck with that one, Z. Public marketing includes things like display on a broker's website, yard sign, or promoting the home, open house, or visual tours. That's pretty obvious. Adam Johnson has the answer. The business day does not count the day listed. You could list Friday, and you would be required to list publicly on Monday. That's true. Adam says, my understanding is the new rules were created to allow sellers to list with an agent and allow that agent to show the home and even allow other agents to see the home without distribution to IDX. That's the new status we're creating in our MLS. So you're talking about the private marketing status. Apparently that is allowed, the private marketing status. So that shouldn't be in violation of Zillow's rules because it is in correlation with clear cooperation and NAR. They're only going to care about listings that are in the MLS. Oh, that's what you meant. Okay. I see what you're saying. I think what you're talking about is allowed. Main house values. What's up, man? This is Rick, by the way. Maybe Zillow will hire premier agents to photocopy listings from Compass books and send them in. Who needs BPOs when Z pays $5 per photo? That's funny. That's funny. Here's a little job to give your team, and for each photocopy sent, we'll give you another lead. Because that's about the value of those leads in our experience. All right. Social media posts sharing listings that are considered public marketing and would not be in compliance. It's pretty obvious. Those posts includes things like the following. We already talked about that. 123 Main Street, link to the brokerage site, which is a gated behind a customer login. Listings which could approximate listing with the company call to action. Examples like 123 Main Street for 500,000. That's a poor example because that's not an accompanying call to action, but it does have the approximation and price details. So obviously, what if a seller wants to keep her listing offline? Yeah, they can. They say, Zillow says the seller gives written instructions directing their agent not to disseminate the listing. The listing shared only with one-on-one. The listing itself, it is so uncomfortable for me for Zillow to be taking such a role in my relationship with my buyers and sellers. That is incredibly uncomfortable. So I hope everyone listening to this, real estate agents, I hope this kind of makes you cringe and you feel that cringe because this is Zillow flexing their lord and authority over the real estate industry and agents because you are kowtowing to them because they're feeding you leads. And because they're feeding you leads and padding your pockets, now all of a sudden they're in charge, not you.
So, Ray,
Yep.
how is it that Zillow is in control when in most cases NAR controls the faucet of information to them where they control the MLSs?
Because more people, I mean, Adam Johnson said it right here. Zillow's the number one search site. We're not going to change that. They're in charge because they're the number one. That, yeah, I think that's, they're in charge because more people are going to them versus anyone else. But I also think they're only in charge because agents are all letting them be in charge. I mean, if agents didn't pay attention to the leads coming from the website, their business has ended. But that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen because 87% of agents fail in the first 2 years. And if you can promise them a little bit of, hip check, if they'll check these listings, and they're going to take it. Unfortunately.
But that doesn't mean that we don't have some sort of a bartering tool.
I don't know what bartering tool we have.
A little bit.
I don't. What tool do we have? The NAR already gave up. There's no preventing that. The only thing we could have is guaranteed accuracy for a national portal for listings. That's the only thing that would compete in the slightest with them, is to say, hey, all the realtors got together. We have all of our information on this site. Zillow can do whatever they want with their own IDX feed. But if you want the most accurate and up-to-date data, it's on our website. That's the only thing that could even start to compete. But it would have to be as good, if not better, than Zillow. And if it's not, people are just going to continue to use Zillow, which means agents are going to continue to buy leads from them.
But we control their IDX feed.
But they're brokers.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Wah.
Yep. Adam says our hands are tied a bit because we can't get together and hurt another brokerage. That's true, but we can, as realtors, all get together and have a public feed that's open to everyone. The leads just go back to the listing agent. We can't do that. We can't have agents not participate in Zillow. There's a lot of agents in our area that don't participate in Zillow because the leads are trash. And they're all the time calling me with lower prices. We've lowered our prices on this zip code. There's more availability in this zip code. I'm like, why is everyone dumping the zip code? We're not really sure. I was like, is it because people are going to pay $5,000 and get 5 leads from that zip code that don't even close? So it is happening in some markets where Zillow is losing a footing. They are losing a footing here, just because it's the leads are terrible. So people are stop buying them. We'll see what happens. Okay. We have an uncomfortable article to cover, but we do want to cover it because it is a story. The former EXP agent's latest to sue the brokerage over alleged assault. I'm not going to say the names or anything about what happened, but there is a 6th woman to make similar allegation in court to what is already happening. I think in 2023, there were 2 other cases, one involving 4 women, one involving 1 woman. And it was a different situation, though. So that's the reason why I wanted to mention this one. This one talks about a photographer this lady met at an open bar hosted by an EXP vendor during an EXP shareholder summit. Apparently, that's where the alleged attack took place. The photog says it was consensual. The lady says it wasn't. She had a couple of drinks and then wakes up and bad things are happening. That's what she says happened. Dude says, no, it's consensual. But this is EXP says we're deeply concerned about any report of harm and extend our compassion. The alleged incident occurred at a private non-EXP sponsored event. And the accused individual is not affiliated with EXP. When the matter was brought to our attention, we immediately responded by offering support to the victim, taking action to help ensure the safety of other EXP agents. So this one is a little bit different situation. I am ignorant of the laws in this case and have no idea how they could be brought into it. But there you go. So I'm just bringing it up because that does mark the 6th one, and we'll see what happens. The other 2 are still in litigation. So they're the other 2 cases, the other 5 individuals. And those were different situations. Those were literal agents of EXP with some kind of recruiting plan, I guess you could say, that involved the parties and promises of favors if, there were certain actions taken. That's about as specific I could be on YouTube. Sorry. I'm not trying to sound weird, but you just got to be careful because YouTube will take you down for saying DV and stuff like that. But all right. The Fed's talking about real estate agent commissions. And if you read the full report, it's a little bit uncomfortable about how much attention they're paying to it. I would rather the free market kind of decide as it happens. The write-up is from Broke Agent Media. I did not see this write-up on any other website, but I thought it was significant. And maybe I just missed it where Inman had posted it, but I thought this was a really good catch from Broke Agent Media. The 5 biggest takeaways for real estate pros from the Core Logic report that tracks buyer agent commissions and based on what the Fed said. Commission rates are declining, but slowly. Despite all the noise, the average agent's compensation has dropped just 0.3 percentage points in more than 20 years, from about 3 in the 1990s to 2.7 today. That's a modest shift, not a free-for-all. And when an agent's new rules roll out, a 2.5 or 3% to both buyer agents and seller agents remain a common in many areas. In 2002, most offerings were exactly 3 to buyers agents. By 2022, more listings offered 2.5 or even 2, though 3 was still the most frequent rate. Adam Johnson says, my guess is year-over-year commission rates will increase. That is also my guess. We, since the rule change, are seeing an increase. So I thought that was really interesting. We are working harder. I do know agents that are not seeing an increase, but I think the change that happened last August highlighted the difference in agents and what we do and the value that we provide, and people are willing to pay for more value. Like there's no way somebody could have done what I just did with a client that, was overseas and had to buy a house, and we found them a house in as little as a week, and it's a great home. We also outbid using some strategies around this commission rule. So I don't think everybody can use it like that, and people are going to miss out on it, not have the skill set. But all right, your market matters more than ever. Commission rates aren't trending. They're splintering by region. In places like New York City, the median and most common buyer commission is 2. Typically, local pricing expectations shape commission offers more than national trends. Zillow didn't kill the compensation, neither did Redfin. Low commission listings underperform. They sit longer and are less likely to sell. Brokerages still steer clients towards full commission listings, making it harder for discount brokers to compete. I don't really see that happening here in our market. The data confirms what agents already know. Transparency matters, but perceived value and industry norms still drive behavior. I do see some buyers that don't want to buy from a discount brokerage, but that's because they don't like the photos or they're like, no, let's not see that one. And, I ask them why. And the photos aren't any good and the marketing's not any good for the property. So they're not even going into the front door. And that's not me steering, that's them steering. And they had no idea that that was a discount broker. So I don't know the agents are steering, but.
Hey, Ray, I think there's also upward pressure on commissions because margins have gotten tight for the brokerages with, with all the recruiting that took place in the heyday a couple of years ago, and people paying bonuses and all this other stuff, which I had never seen before. And, now every agent wants a high split, and and it's cutting down on the margins.
Yeah, that's true too. Commission, commission compression is coming from all angles. Even like fees for marketing are going up, and that's a form of commission compression that not a lot of people talk about. Buyer agreements and rebate bans have had little impact. I thought this was interesting. Buyer representation agreements, which were effective in 15 states before the NAR settlement, and banned commission rebates haven't had a major change. So according to the Fed's analysis, neither policy made a statistically significant dent in average commission rates. The impact is just a few basis points, not enough to matter once you factor in house prices. The real disruption still could be ahead. So the Fed believes that the full effect of the settlement will take time to play out. In its report, the Fed cited repeat episode of the daily podcast, which was a horrible take by Deborah Kamin, Kamin. And it came and suggested agents workarounds are a big part of the commissions staying at or near 3%. If you listen to that, and I hope you also read the comments on that podcast, it was terribly inaccurate and had a wildly, I'll just say it was a huge misunderstanding of how real estate works and compensation. It was really interesting. The Fed report authors highlighted factors that make it difficult to predict any long-term impacts, including sellers' agents can no longer advertise compensation. The clear cooperation policy has been relaxed. So there you go. Here's what the full Fed report looks like. And what I thought was the most ironic about this Fed report is they are on our industry about talking about commissions and compensation and gathering the data and looking at it. And yet, May 12th, 2025, they have this report that gathers all the data into handy charts so that you can see what average commissions and compensations are. Here's the chart that goes from 1990 to 2022 or 23. Was this 2022? This one's 2022, I think. And anyway, you can see this. It looks like a drastic downturn, but it's from 1990. So this took a long time to go from 3 to 2.7. But look at this. Here's your figure 2 distribution of commissions in 2002 versus 2022 versus the median rate. I mean, they've collated all this data for us. So there you go. You would think that they would be like, oh no, you can't talk about it. But if you were to talk about I mean, this is a great, if you have a seller that says, well, what's the average? You know, we're not supposed to talk about the average or the standards, but you could just send them this article and say, well, here's what the Fed says. Yeah, Adam says we can't talk about all that stuff, and we can't talk about setting a standard or fee between brokerages. I know, right? Oh, Adam says in Wisconsin and Minnesota, is that in Minnesota? Listing contracts now show a listing fee and then a section that reduces the listing fee if the seller pays a second party broker. I make more money on my listing fee now because I don't reduce it by 50 cents if I pay another brokerage, by 50% if I pay another brokerage. That's it. That's an interesting way to do it. We have something that says, is it okay for us to offer a buyer agent fee? That's what we have. And then we say yes or no. And so most of my people just say, no, don't offer a fee. And then we make the buyer agent ask for it with the offer. That way the buyer knows what the agent's asking for. The seller knows what the agent's asking for. It's the most open way to do it, in our opinion. And I don't even ask when I show properties. We just, if our client wants it in the contract, we put it in the contract. If they don't, we don't. If they want to pay it themselves, they can. All right. I want to get to this. I sent this to a feminist friend of mine, Amber Haley. And I said, is this the feminist take or is the next take the feminist take? Because I wasn't sure what the feminist take was. At first, this kind of felt like maybe a feminist take, Veteran real estate pro claims reality TV has damaged the industry. He slams shows for turning mediocre agents into stars. In this take, he also talked about how women should be disappointed and how it portrays them. He says, if I was a woman, I would feel extremely disappointed because it over-sexualizes the role of a professional. So I'm thinking, well, I think that sounds like a feminist take. Doesn't that sound like a feminist take? So I asked my feminist friend, she said, no, that's not the feminist take. Like, okay, I don't know. He said, I just feel bad for the many female agents because they were never given the platform that was afforded to you. I mean, that feels like a pretty good take. He's basically saying that, hey, the way the females are portrayed on these shows is a disservice to the actual professionals who are kicking tail as real estate agents. And it's disingenuous to assume that they are like these folks. That's what I got from. I thought, oh, well, that's not a terrible take. Maybe it could be, maybe it is a little much. But he said, I want a disclaimer line that says what you're about to see is fiction. He said, I just want a disclaimer. He said, although the shows offer an outstanding source of PR, they show very bad behavior and it creates a perception that this profession is quick and easy. That's just as a whole, not to females in particular. So who is this? Eleonora is a celebrity now. She said that selling the city, Sergo previously told Realtor.com, I don't think it's fair to compare me or any other person in the real estate industry managing a team. Because of that, there are members of our team that aren't on the show and that affects them. And there are people on the show and they prioritize that over real estate obligations. It's a really hard place to be in. Oh, Eureka chiming in. She said, in our area, it went down very quickly from 3% to 2.5%. Coldwell bankers stopped requiring agents to give out the 3. That's it. I mean, we let it be negotiated, but it hasn't really changed much from what I'm seeing in our area. Eureka, Silicon Valley, Eureka. Eureka, your team should be on a reality television show. I mean, the houses would be gorgeous in Silicon Valley. All right. So I sent this, like I said, I sent this to a feminist friend. I was like, hey, which one is the feminist take? Is it this one or is it this one? Tracy Tutor claps back after reality TV remarks by Compass's Evangelist. The $1 Million Listing LA star took to Instagram to criticize the Compass chief evangelist, Leonard Steinberg's recent critique regarding how women in real estate are depicted in reality TV shows. Tracy Tutor is a reality TV show with Compass, which is interesting. She said the Compass affiliated luxury agent caught wind of the statements. Steinberg's long been a critic of the industry's depiction in reality shows like Selling Sunset, $1 Million Listing. During the forum last week, he said, if I was a woman, I'd feel extremely disappointed. I think it over-sexualizes the role of professional. And then she says the arrogance in this and his comments surrounding women's attire is frustrating. Later, the reality TV star criticized Steinberg in more detail in an Instagram story, saying, the idea that Leonard Steinberg, Leonard, felt like you were the Judge Judy chair and you get to comment on how we choose to promote our businesses, which has nothing to do with you, is not only offensive, it's condescending, and beyond that, gross. That's what she said. And I think my feminist friend had more of a leaning towards that. She sent me some audio messages, but I can't listen to the audio messages because I'm literally on the show. She said, one, Leonard, you're in no position to talk about how anyone should dress with your, okay, so she goes after his dress and attire. Let's start there. The idea that you have a 1950s sentiment regarding how women should dress in a professional setting is not only outdated, sexist, and misogynistic and unfair. You're in no position to tell any women what to wear as long as the woman's getting deals done. At the end of the day, if I want to wear Louis Vuittons to a showing in a short skirt, as long as I get the showing on lock and I close the deal, more power to me. You should be celebrating that, not disparaging it. I mean, so how dare you? How dare you come for all of us? It's reeking of jealousy, insecurity, and a little tone deaf. So this is my question. Is it? I mean, I felt like he was kind of standing up for the 95% of women that aren't on, or maybe it's 99% of women that aren't on reality TV, that maybe some of that has a impact on them and their business because people who watch that stuff think that that's how it's going to be. And because of that portrayal, their business is negatively impacted. Is it that? I mean, I didn't think that was a bad take. It sounds like he's not talking about, he's basically saying good for them, but that's not good for us. It's hard for me to understand her take. Well, it's not hard. She's like, I could do what I want. That's her take. I could do what I want. Consequences be damned. But it is, I mean, we are in a society that people in the society, there's a majority of people that think a certain way and a majority of people or a minority of people that think another way. And if you're trying to serve the majority, then there is a different look. There is a different perception. There is, if I'm trying to serve the majority of people in my area, face tattoos are not going to work. Even though I would love to have a full face of tattoos, maybe they're not going to work in my market. So I'm not going to do that. And even though hey, if I wanted to do face tattoos in Louis Vuittons, I could do that. And hey, good for me if I close the deal, right? But I think she would be hard pressed to say that maybe is not appropriate for the majority of people. Isn't this the same? My feminist friend says, my summary, patriarchy's control over women, of what women wear, is timeless and historical tactic to keep women in line. Men do not get to decide what is or is not appropriate for women to wear, ever. He is shifting the blame to women. Her response is her trying to reclaim the female autonomy. Women are damned if they do and damned if they don't. Blame the system, not the women. Women's bodies are being framed as objects to manage in this argument. Policing women's clothing and behavior is a classic power move. The standard keeps shifting. Women can never win. The objectification cycle is a double-edged sword, but at the end of the day, men do not get to have a say. As women, I get to decide. As a woman, I get to decide. I also acknowledge that the industry still rewards physical appearance, but men need to stay in their own lane. I mean, I think, okay, so I asked for the feminist take. She gave it to me, but that is a take, but it's not real world. That may be what we want, but that's not what is. I mean, what is today is that men and women are both purchasing houses, and men are going to see something on TV and it's going to shape how they think about the process. That's pretty normal, I think. Women too. I mean, they're going to see something on TV and think that that's how the process goes. I can't count the number of clients that are like, this is not at all what I thought it was going to be from HGTV. Now, it's not because I'm in Louis Vuittons, but they're talking about the reality TV being different from reality. And that's the world we live in. So I felt like he was kind of standing up for all the women that weren't on TV. But maybe I'm wrong. So I'd love to hear in the comments, who's right? Is Tracy Tutor right? Who's also at Compass? Or is the Compass chief evangelist Leonard Steinberg right? Who's right in this? Do those shows objectify women and have a negative impact on women's business? Or should they just be able to do what they want? Drop it in the comments. Eureka, I'd love your take on this. Okay, we're gonna go really quickly. Here's a pro tip: a unique twist on staging vacant land. Is that Bigfoot? So this was cute. I just wanted to include it. This person took a picture of their vacant land and they put Bigfoot in the photos to get more people to linger on the listing. And they've done this. And And they have sold land this way. So it was a cute take. I just wanted to include that as a story. All right, I'm going to run through the market data. U.S. home prices ticked down 0.1% in April. It's the first month of a drop since 2022. Home prices are going down. 0.1%. It's okay. This is according to the Redfin Home Price Index. We have inventory is rising, but not enough, a new report warns. So this is from the nar.realtor. Eureka's take. Thanks. Eureka's coming in here. She said he does not say anything about the good-looking men. That is true. That is true. But are we objectified in the same way on those shows? I don't feel like they are. Maybe they are. To tell you the truth, I've never watched one of those shows. I've only seen clips. Maybe we'll do a Ray Reacts where I watch one of those shows for the first time ever. If you want to see that, drop it in the comments. If I get enough feedback on it, we'll do one. All right, rising inventory may even be masking a deepening crisis for lower income buyers, as the report notes. When viewed through the lens of income and purchasing power, it becomes clear that access to affordable housing remains out of reach for most buyers. So shoppers see more homes for sale today than a year ago. And encouragingly, many of these homes have been added at a moderate income price point. But this report shows we still don't have an abundance of homes that are affordable to low to moderate income and households. And the progress that we see is not happening everywhere. It's been concentrated in the Midwest and the South. So, and it talks about the middle being the most positively impacted by this supply change. Housing affordability and supply is the other article that that mentions. That's the research article. So you can go there and see the actual data, how much buyers can afford a year ago, pre-pandy, and in a balanced market. So yeah, I feel like we're getting closer to that balanced market, but we're not there yet. Okay, spring home buying season sputters as supply jumps to a 5-year high. Existing home sales dropped to the 6-month low. So supply is up, existing home sales is down. So what does this mean? Prices are going to tick down a little bit. There's a general feeling of anxiety in the housing market because no one knows what they're going to read in the news when they wake up, said Dan Close, Redfin Premier Agent in Chicago. That uncertainty is freaking out prospective buyers, even though in many cases it's not having a tangible impact on their ability to buy a house. Yeah, there is a news cycle that is obvious. Yeah, I would agree. We're still getting a lot of people that don't want to sell their house because they have a 2% rate, though. Economic jitters and high cost stifle spring home sales. Pending U.S. home sales fell 3.4% year over year during the first 4 weeks ending May 11th to the lowest level on record, aside from 2020. Would-be home buyers are backing off for two main reasons. One's the rising cost in home prices and elevated mortgage rates. Yup, there's a lot of doubt and hesitation among house hunters. People are starting their home search, then backing out because they talked to their lender and realized how high their monthly payments would be. So this is so I had a recent transaction fall out because of this. A lady was going to put down a huge amount of cash and only finance a little bit. Then she decided to finance all of it, and she was surprised at the payment. I didn't really think that was a reason to back out because she still had the ability to put a huge down payment and finance a little bit, which was the original agreement. But she wanted to back out of the deal. And I had to sell her on that one. She wanted to back out of the deal because she was shocked at what the payment would be if she financed all of it. Bart Tracy, Dallas Real Estate says, so when rates hit 6%, is multiple offers again? Curious on your thoughts. I feel like 6% is going to be the new 5% for a while, maybe the low sixes. For a long time when rates hit 5, people were like, no, then went up to 6. And people just stopped and then went back down to 5. And it was like hotcake. Stuff was selling. People were coming back in the market because rates were low. So I feel like rates have been in 7 for so long that if they get to the low 6s, we may see that. In our area, if you have good credit, you're getting a mid-6 range a lot of times, and sometimes even lower if you're, have a special plan or program or something like that. So I think some of my buyers just got like a 5.8. Yeah, Adam said my buyers got a 5% on a 7-year ARM. Interesting. Adam Johnson, on the topic of men and women in real estate, said, do men use sensualism in sales the same way women do? I've never told a seller to bake cookies before showing. Oh, I have. Eureka says, just because men look like models, he's not saying boo-hoo for all the regular male agents. I mean, yeah, that's true, but I think there's a general, I feel like there's a difference in how men and women objectify each other, maybe. You've never seen one of those shows either? Okay. We should watch it together. All right, this article came out when May 16th. Stable mortgage rates are drawing out home buyers. This is, again, some of the same stuff. So what we're seeing over and over and over is when people, and this says mortgage rates are under 7, so they are in the 6s in some places. But what we're seeing over and over and over is that agents, you need to get your people pre-approved, pre-qualified, and know what those monthly payments are. Take those next steps, get them fully approved, fully pre-qualified. Don't just take a Rocket Mortgage letter of approval, which is a glorified credit check. Make sure that they've gone through the other steps with that mortgage company to get fully approved and ready. Mike V says that would be entertaining. Okay, we can do a reaction show. Oh, I'm not sharing the.
Ray, there's so much that agents need to be doing that haven't been in the business for, or that have been in the business for less than 10 or 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to get good at talking to sellers when their homes don't sell after a week or a month.
Yeah.
And you've got to, and yes, now is an amazing time to be reaching out to buyers and telling them that there are going to be opportunities for them. And now you need to have regular conversations with them too. I've always said the best technology is picking up the phone and having a conversation with people. And there's going to be a lot more babysitting, and that's going to start defining agents amongst themselves. Yeah. So there's a whole new skill set that's needed out there that is different from 2 years ago.
I love skill-based economies. So that's where we make the most.
Know your data. Just instead of scrolling through Netflix, scroll through the stats section of your MLS or whatever resources you have, and own up and learn how to. Learn how to talk to people.
If only there was a podcast that went over all the news in the Real Estate Weekly, so you could just kind of be up on what's happening, and then you don't have to spend all that time doing the research. If only.
Right?
All right, this is the last article for the day. Mortgage demand drops after interest rate jumps to the highest level since February. So now we're back up. The average rate for a 30-year fixed with conforming loan balance of $806,500 or less increased to 6.92% from 6.86%. So just under 7. Mortgage rates jumped. Applications to buy a home, which had been rising for a few weeks, dropped 5% for the week and were 13% higher than the same week 1 year ago. That's still 13% higher than last year. That's significant. Home buyers are seeing much more listings on the market than they did even a few months ago, but higher interest rates, as well as increasing concern over the state of the economy and inflation, have chilled the usually busy spring season. I'm not hearing as much worry on the economy or inflation. Are you guys hearing economy and inflation worries? I used to. We used to hear that a lot. Oh, prices are going up. Prices are going up. I'm not really hearing that right now. It's pretty much just rates and prices of homes, which I guess you could consider prices of homes inflation. But I'm not hearing your regular eggs are up. That used to be the debate. That's not currently the debate. So Adam Johnson said, my lenders are saying the apps are up, but most of the buyers are 20% below the median home price. Yeah. The same buyers waiting for prices to come down when rates get lower, living in the clouds. Yeah, I mean, historically, I had a buyer ask me this the other day. They were like, "How are rates looking?" And I said, "Well, historically, they're still a little low." And they were like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, the average is 8%. We're under that." And they like, I could see them thinking for a beat. And they're like, "So I guess it's still a good time to buy." I was like, historically, yeah. You remember like when boomers bought houses and, all the boomers like, "Oh yeah, you just got to buy a house. That's what you got to do." They had 13 and 17% rates. Now I know they had more expensive home prices, but rates were insane back then. So Adam Johnson said, "That's why I sell 7-year arms like crazy." And so I think when people realize that the average is around 8, but you're still about 1.5% below average, they kind of start to come around and say, "Okay, well, it's not unreasonable if I could find the right house, if I could find the right price." So then what they tend to be is more picky about the home and more picky about the home's condition because they don't want to put a bunch of other money into it. So that's what we're seeing. And I don't know, I'm anxious to see how it kind of plays out. I do have a hard out today, so I got to run, but thanks everybody for joining the show. Clubhouse folks, thank you guys for adding your voices to the pod. If you guys need anything, reach out to me on Instagram. That's the best place to get me. It's Razorback, RAYZORBACK. And I'm going to go meet with some agents, go sell a house or two. Bye, everybody. This was episode 318. By the way, I forgot to mention that.